Hello! Napatawag ka?
Tin! Oh my God! Break na daw yung Katniel. Sabi nila nag-cheat daw si Daniel. Ang sakit! Ay,
Ha? Nag-cheat? Hindi man lang niya inisip yung consequences ng actions niya? OMG!
the basic posit of deontology states that an act is morally right based on the nature of the act alone. The consequences are unimportant. This cheating issue is an example of pure deontology. If the act is an instantiation or example of the moral rule, the act is right. If it contradicts the rule, the act is wrong. Again, the consequences of the act are unimportant, and pure kind will not consider the consequences as relevant in the deliberation of the rightness of an act. Uh, Maybe his needs are not satisfied. That's why he chose to cheat. Still a bad thing though. Hmm.
Now, this is an example of mixed deontology. It states that the meaning of the nature of the act is not confined to conformity to moral rules alone. It is also believed that the consequences of the act have some bearing on the assessment of what is morally right or wrong. Mixed kind would consider favorable consequences as the relevant variable that can defeat the wrongness of an act.
You know what? Tara na lang sa Enchanted Kingdom. Huwag mo na isipin yan. May discount ang mga UP students. Sayang!
Sure! Tara na agad! Excited na ako. May natuloy rin sa mga gala natin.
Okay. We'll be there in an hour. See you!
Tin, let's go na! Tara dun tayo sa Grand Carousel for warm-up.
Sure. Carousel, here we come!
Next up, we have rule deontology. It states that an act is right if it is consistent with a moral rule. Then it is wrong if it is inconsistent. It recognizes a set of moral principles as the cornerstone of morality and evaluates particular actions according to how closely or loosely they adhere to these principles.
We also have act deontology. Both the nature of the act and the rules will be considered. An act's character is the first consideration in determining its morality, and norms are important only to the extent that they offer direction for the application of certain actions in comparable moral situations.
Ako lang ba? Ba't parang ang weird ng carousel ngayon?
You know what? I actually noticed it too. Well, do you want to eat first before going for another ride?
Okay, I think I saw a hotdog stand somewhere. Doon na lang tayo kumain.
Hi, excuse me po, can I get 2 hot dogs on a stick, please? Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Do you know that Immanuel Kant is a pure rule deontologist? His entire ethical system is founded on one moral rule, called categorical imperative. Kant disagreed with utility theories, contending that an action's moral worth shouldn't be determined by its consequences. He holds that the only things that are intrinsically good are goodwill, motivated by responsibility, done for its own sake and good intentions. Kantian morality places a strong emphasis on fulfilling one's obligations rather than merely following them. For example, a mother's caring for her children is only morally valuable when it is done out of obligation. Here's your order, ma'am. Thank you.
Hindi lang pala rides ang weird ngayon, pati vendors. What's happening? By the way, Tin, here's yours.
Thank you. Tara na sa next ride.
Let's go! Principle of reason. According to Kant, each person has the ability for rationality, and all moral agents are rational. Kant argued that morality must be shown to be rational in order to be justified, and that morality must be consistent with reason. According to Kant, morality is articulated through categorical imperatives, which are absolute rules that apply to everyone without exception. These demands don't have reasonable conditions and don't take the effects into account. According to Kant, moral principles are logical and their arguments are only logical. Therefore, in order to show that an action is immoral, it is necessary to show that the underlying principle of the act is absurd and contradictory.
Mas nahilo ata ako sa music na nakaplay kaysa sa mismong ride. Anyway, saan tayo?
Let's go sa Dodgem! Bomb car tayo, Tin! Tin! Nakita mo ba yun, Tin? May magnanakaw, Tin! Tara na, alis na tayo. Dito may magnanakaw. Dali, alis na tayo. Dali, alis na natin.
In the case of theft, Kant and utilitarians differ. Utilitarians assess consequences and may justify stealing for the greater good. Kant, using the universalizability test, finds that a maxim like, "it's okay to steal if you can't afford it," leads to absurdity when universally applied, causing chaos and undermining trust. In the case of Kant, he will use his universalizability test. Can I will that my maxim becomes a universal law? First, state the maxim of your action. It is all right to steal if you cannot afford to buy it. Second, universalize it into a moral law for everyone to follow. It is all right for everybody to steal from anybody, provided that what you are stealing are things you cannot afford to buy. And Kant would consider applying this maxim of stealing to everybody and enjoins him or her all to do the same. Third, ask yourself if the law is universalizable. What do you think will happen? Kant's morality prioritizes logical consistency with the universal moral law, regardless of consequences.
Ay, buti na lang nakaalis na tayo sa part na yan. Tara na, Dodgem na tayo. Tara, bomb car. Yeah. Bomb car, bomb car.
I'm so excited!
Kant's moral philosophy centers on self-contradicting immoral actions when universalized as maxims. He asserts that an act is moral if its intent remains consistent when made into a universal rule, regardless of consequences. Kant's categorical imperative, the supreme moral law, is expressed in 5 versions. First, the Formula 1 or the formula of universal law. Kant's first version of the categorical imperative emphasizes the universal application of moral maxims, prohibiting concessions for personal gain. While underlining universality as essential to morality, he clarifies that the moral law is not identical to a law of nature, but serves as a guiding analogy for ethical decision-making. Formula 1A, or the formula of the law of nature. This version is subordinate, suggesting a rule to support moral action without delving into the essence of morality. Kant clarifies that the moral law is not identical to a law of nature, using it as an analogy for guiding ethical decisions. Formula 2, or the formula of the end in itself. This version highlights acting universally with respect for every individual, limiting choices to moral rules applying to all humanity. Kant opposes using people solely as a means to an end, emphasizing the importance of recognizing their moral agency. He specifically objects to coercive employment without consent, while not the hiring of individuals for certain tasks. Formula 3, or the formula of autonomy, it adds to the understanding of the moral law. While Formula 1 highlights its universal nature, Formula 3 emphasizes that the law originates from an individual's will, addressing the issue of moral obligation. Kant argues that obeying the moral law is crucial as it aligns with human reason, and disobedience contradicts our nature. This underscores the idea that everyone can legislate the universal law, highlighting intrinsic worth and equality. Formula 3A, or Formula of the Kingdom of Ends. Kant advocates the concept of a kingdom of ends, acknowledging that in reality, people often use each other as a means. This concept encourages a democratic perspective in social philosophy. Assuming that a moral obligation to legislate the moral law, with the limitation that all individuals are considered ends in themselves, Kant suggested an ideal society would resemble a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Reason, whether practical or theoretical, stays out of contradictions. The primary need for a decision to be deemed correct is that it should not contradict itself. In this way, morality is based on self-contradiction.
Ang saya ng Dot Game though. Nakakahilo pakinggan yung background music nila. My gosh.
OMG! Tara natin sa mga extreme rights. Start tayo sa Extreme Tower. Here we come! Extreme Tower! Excited na ako! Wait! Hala! Bigla akong kinabahan. OMG! Oh my God! Oh my God! Kaya ko to. Woo! Extreme Tower.
Humanist ethics combines teleological and deontological aspects, giving importance to both the nature of the act and its consequences. It emphasizes the significance of consequences, while acknowledging certain duties that moral agents should unconditionally follow. Humanist ethics also has a long history. 5th century BC. An important humanist tenet was attributed to Protagoras, namely, man is the measure of all things. Socrates emphasized self-knowledge, defining wisdom as understanding duties to oneself, others, and God. Humanism builds on the idea that humans, as rational beings, possess the potential for truth, beauty, and moral goodness. Mid of 2nd century BC. Roman thinkers used the Latin word humanitas to mean cultivated intelligence. This is where the term humanism was derived. The Greek tradition found continuity in Roman humanism, which recognized the capacity of man to develop his human potentials, emphasizing man's intellectual faculties because it defines his supremacy as a rational being. Italian Renaissance. The meaning of humanism was the attempt to break away from the superstition and the authoritarianism of the Middle Ages towards a greater emphasis on the importance of the worth of the man. It ushered in a reawakening of the belief that man's destiny lies in his own hands.
Grabe yung puso ko. Pero, tara na agad sa next ride. Woo! Saan tayo, team?
Sige, let's try Anchors Away.
In the contemporary era, humanism has resurfaced in naturalist, Christian, and existentialist forms, stressing its crucial role in human survival. The unconditional imperative of humanism is the full development of all human potentials. Although there is currently no comprehensive humanist ethics related to Bentham, Mill, or Kant, steps are being taken in that direction. Specification of humanist ethics. This ethics, rooted in a scientific understanding of humanity, offers advantages over previous humanism. It is a coherent and comprehensive belief system that, if embraced by a critical mass of Filipinos, could potentially reshape the behavior of an entire nation. Humanist ethics introduces concepts like intrinsic good and right, establishing a basis for moral judgment. Additionally, it employs the concept of opportunities in life to gauge societal development and analyzes the meaning of Philippine history. The principle of justice is utilized as an analytic tool to assess government laws, policies, and programs.
It was fun! Kaso, sobrang nakakahilo pero next na ulit.
Na-survive din natin yung Anchors Away. Tara naman sa Jungle Log Jam. Gusto ko mabasa ng tubig. Kaso medyo ata dun.
Theory of man. Acuña's ethics is rooted in a scientific understanding of humanity's dynamic development. Man evolves from an egocentric to a sociocentric being, following stages identified by developmental psychology. The empirical premise of humanist ethics recognizes innate potentials in cognitive, affective, aesthetic, and moral aspects, affirming the intrinsic worth and equality of individuals. This foundation justifies equal human rights and dignity. The intrinsic good and moral obligation. Humanist ethics posits that the essence of morality lies in developing human potentials. Intrinsic good, as per humanism, is the actualization of potentials across various dimensions. Moral goodness is found in the satisfaction and reward of developing these potentials, constituting true happiness. Morally significant actions either advance or impede potential development, determining moral obligation. In human conduct, actions fostering development are right, while those hindering it are wrong. The moral principle asserts that an action is right if it is most likely promotes human potential development and wrong if it does the opposite. This is the teleological aspect of the humanist ethics.
Oh, no. Nabasa ako ng slide. Pero, okay lang yan eh. Saan tayo next din?
Tara muna sa Wheel of Fate para matuyo yung clothes natin.
Sige. Primary duty. The presence of human potentials inherently inclines individuals to naturally seek their own development and that of others. The fundamental duty is to fully develop one's human potentials, embodying a moral obligation to achieve the highest cognitive, emotive, aesthetic, moral, and spiritual development. This obligation is unconditional and non-negotiable. Duty to your fellow men. Humanist ethics underscores the collaborative nature of developing human potentials, emphasizing the interconnectedness of individuals. Acknowledging the right to personal development implies a reciprocal obligation to recognize and assist others in their potential development. This mutual duty forms the deontological aspects of humanist ethics, emphasizing both individual and collective responsibilities.
Ayan, ready na ulit for another ride.
Okay, yay! Next ride na, Space Shuttle, here we come! Yay! Ayun na, kinakabahan ako lalo. Oh my God. Whew.
Sociocentric orientation. As individuals mature, there's a qualitative shift from self centeredness to a sociocentric orientation, transforming into social beings. The evolution from egoistic views of good to reciprocity and ultimately to a sociocentric perspective is integral to transcending selfishness. This transition involves a reciprocal duty to help others develop their human potentials within society. Society, essential for the full realization of humanity, offers opportunities for basic needs, satisfaction, and the development of human potentials. Beyond physiological needs, society provides the framework for satisfying higher needs, making moral development intertwined with societal existence. Opportunities in life. Human development blueprints influenced by societal structures determine individual achievements. Analyzing societal development involves examining opportunities in life provided by society. fundamental rights include claiming equal opportunities for all to prevent inequality. Societal structures shape the distribution of life opportunities, defining the limits of human development capacity. The interdependence of man and society is evident, with societal structures playing a vital role in shaping human potential and opportunities.
Grabe yung adrenaline rush ko today. Nakakapagod din pala pero super enjoy.
Diba? Super enjoy. Tara, lakad na tayo sa next ride.
Ideal society. An ideal society ensures equal opportunities for all its members, with the existence of society rooted in the unconditional obligation to provide these opportunities. Individuals have a duty to support or sacrifice personal interests for the collective development of society, emphasizing the importance of societal progress over individual advancement. The meaning of Philippine history. Social development should focus on increasing opportunities for a growing number of members as society progresses through historical epochs. The significance of Philippine history lies in trends that provide more opportunities to Filipinos over time. This defines the Filipino experience shaped by history. Efforts should expedite the historical development of a society where structural changes remove constraints hindering human development, ensuring equal opportunities for all. Currently, Philippine society exhibits radical inequality in opportunities sustained by unjust economic and socio-cultural structures. Achieving equal chances for all members requires structural changes and a differential distribution of opportunities.
Girl, last ride na to. Ayoko na. Nakakahilo at nakakapagod.
Okay, Rio Grande na lang tayo, then uwi na tayo after. Oh my God, we're down to our last ride. Rio Grande!
Society relies on government as an instrument to enforce the will of its members, with the government authority derived from the people. From a humanist perspective, the primary role of government is to promote human development by providing opportunities and benefits to those members who would otherwise struggle to develop their potentials. The human principle of justice asserts that a law, policy, or program is just if it differentially distributes opportunities and benefits to those with greater needs. Government must adhere to this principle, and citizens have the right to replace it if it fails in this obligation. The Humanist Creed systematically summarizes key tenets of humanist ethics.
Hala ka, basa ako, pati yung buhok ko basa. Ano ba yan? Okay lang yan. Uwian naman na. Bye-bye, EK. Till next time din, Elder the Wizard. Till next time.
Super pagod pero sulit. Till next time, Enchanted Kingdom!